about this love, about this, about this love, about this love, love. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host today about this love soundbite. Thank you again for tuning in. Thank you for listening to the one from last week. And I just want to thank everybody who participates on our Facebook or IG with comments. It's definitely mostly appreciated and greatly needed. Thank you. In order to push the podcast further. Thank you. As always, I do want to remind you guys just to follow us on social media. About this love. On Facebook, it's about this love. And on IG, which is Instagram, it's about this love, all lowercase, all one word, bunched up together. And you can also follow us on our business platforms. IG, it's MDMD_LLC. And of course, all that is lowercase. On our Twitter, it's MDMD_LLC. And that's all capital. And on our Facebook, it's Multidimensional Media Domain LLC. Again, thank you. A lot of what we do in our podcast, we both promote on our business page and on our podcast about this love page as well, because our business is photography, videography, and sound recording and sound editing. So it's just more so promotional for us to put that on both platforms rather than one. So if you follow us on one or if you follow us on business or about this love, you definitely see them on both. So again, thank you again for your for the support and the love. Let's begin our topic for today, which is titled "Setting Boundaries." And today I'm going to kind of ask go through the questions, or some of them are not questions, but I'm going to go through the questions, and at the end I'm going to give my own personal experience of me setting boundaries, and I may even answer some of them when I answer the questions and or ask the questions. But I'm going to ask the questions first. Number one, I put examples of boundaries in my own personal life. That's again would be towards the end. The first question is your life out of order in some areas? Number two, do I need to set boundaries? And the last three are more so just statements that I'm gonna kind of sound upon and dive in deeper. What's the results of setting boundaries? The other, making others respect my boundaries. And the last, the purpose of boundaries. So let's, as always, start with the first question. And it's interesting. I just want to put this out there. I'm a very inquisitive person by nature. So oftentimes, like when I do things, or if I'm going to do something, I like to always ask questions, and that's just my nature. Even when I was in college, my professor was like, "Hey, it's a great quality. Don't lose it about you." So me, I'm the kind of person, when I do a podcast or anything I'm doing, I want to make it interactive. So a lot of the questions that I am asking and also answering in the podcast, please feel free to, on the podcast, you ask, is your life out of order, and just give your answer. It's always welcome. It's always appreciated. We'll definitely respond back to you, give you some feedback, and we just want to hear your perspective of it as well, because the purpose of this podcast is just to encourage people. Oftentimes when me and my wife have had conversations, she would always say, "Well, I wish I would have knew that when I was younger. I wish I had somebody to tell me that when I was younger." So really our heart behind the podcast, and she will be joining us on some future podcasts. I know it's always me. I'm always saying us and me. Like, well, where's she at? It's always you. So she'll be joining us on some future podcasts. But we always say, well, if I had somebody to tell me that when I was younger, or if I had someone to tell me that, then I would be a lot further than I am now. So that's the purpose of the podcast. The purpose of the podcast is to encourage people my age and younger, and even those who are older who may not know. I'm not assuming you do or don't know. You may very well know. So again, everything that we discuss or talk about, it's my opinion. Please don't crucify me on social media. But let me start with the first question for today. Is your life out of order? And I asked that question to myself, and again, it's an interactive question. So as I'm talking, or as I'm done answering the question, you can think about it. For yourself, is your life out of order? Do I spend too much money? Do I spend too much time watching TV, or do I spend too much time playing video games, or do I spend too much time with people who are not adding, or making my life better? You know, that's why I asked the question. Do I need to set boundaries? Well, if the answer to the first question was yes, then I would say you probably would need to set boundaries. If I'm spending 6 hours a day playing video games, then I probably want to set myself, a boundary as it relates to like maybe a time frame. Well, I'll play video games from 4 in the afternoon to 5:30. Just so that I don't eat up all my time or waste all my time playing video games. So just realistic things. What is the results of me setting boundaries? Well, I'll say for one, the number one result of anyone setting boundaries, in life is you want to accomplish a certain thing, whether it's save money or not spend 3 to 4 or 5 hours a day watching TV or really just wasting time. That's, because for a lot of people who are, very productive, they may not want to spend 3 or 4 hours a day, wasting time watching TV. And I guess, if you're spending 3 or 4 hours a day watching TV, I guess you're not very productive, But again, I don't want to assume you're not productive because maybe in your spare time, you might have 4 hours a day, you just watch TV, catch me on your TV shows. So, what's the results of me setting boundaries? Did I just read that? I think I did. Okay, next one. Making others respect my boundaries. How do I make others, respect my boundaries, And I think for each individual, it's an individual thing, like for instance, I know me and my wife in our home, oftentimes we have family members who may come and visit who are not married. And they want to bring their significant other. And we're always like, sure, you can bring them, you can bring them, but because you're not married, just know that, it's not okay, if you sleep in the same room, so, you're, we always give the woman or the woman of the room and tell the gentleman he can sleep on the couch, or we have an air mattress, a double layer queen size air mattress that you can blow up and put in the living room, or you can sleep on the couch, whichever is, you prefer, so, and the last one is the purpose of boundaries. And really, the purpose of boundaries really is just to kind of put things into perspective or put things into order. In every area of our lives, there are boundaries, even if we don't even realize it. Like for instance, many of us, excuse me, I burped. Many of us probably drive to work or drive our kids to school or just drive to the grocery store. Isn't that governed by a speed limit? That's your state or the specific county or city that you live in saying, hey, when you're on this road or this street, the speed limit is 25, or the speed limit is 45, or the speed limit is 35. It's a boundary, that they're setting to help keep order as it relates to people not, doing like 50 miles per hour through a neighborhood where there's might be kids outside playing or people just, people actually just walking their dog or whatever. I want you come through driving 50 miles an hour and hit somebody, so in every area of our lives, there's boundaries. At my job, I work from 8 to 6, so they give us the boundary there, is that my shift starts at 8 o'clock and it ends at 6 o'clock. That's the boundary, So if we come outside of that or past that, you're late, and they dock your time, So just kind of really understanding that boundaries are good. And sometimes, when we fail to set boundaries, there can be consequences, and when I use the word consequences, I'm not necessarily saying it in a negative sense. Consequences can be both negative and or good, but one of the things that, that I've learned in my own life to set boundaries is, I'm a gamer. I play a lot of video games. And when I first got married, I would spend hours upon hours upon hours playing video games. My wife, she wasn't cool with that. I was used to being a single man who would come home from work and just play games, watch a lot of TV. I also DJed on the side and recorded and edited audio for people, which is what me and my wife do for our business. But outside of that, I was wasting a lot of time, When you get married or when you're in a relationship with somebody, when you have, or with myself now, I have a son, it may not be too productive for you to spend hours upon hours upon hours playing video games or watching TV. It's not really productive. My wife, like, hey, you've been at work all day. I haven't seen you. You're gonna spend 3-4 hours playing a game. No, I mean, I wouldn't spend 3 or 4 hours playing a game, but I would say about an hour and a half, 2 hours. But again, that may be too much time when you have a son and a wife and you've been at work all day long, or you've been at work all night long. There may be too much time. You're wasting time. That's time you'd be spending, with your family. Another example is when I was in my early 20s. I had a friend. Me and my wife actually just recently went to his wedding last weekend. It was beautiful. It was wonderful. But when I was in my earlier 20s, I used to drop the N-bomb a lot. The Nigga word. Yeah, I used to drop that joint a lot. I used to drop the N-bomb a lot. And I remember one time I called him that. He was like, "Hey, yo, man, I love you. We cool, but don't even call me that. I'm not an N-word. Don't call me that." He's, "I don't like that word. I don't like being called that. I don't even like being affiliated with that. So can you please not call me that?" I was like 20 years old, 21. So I was like, you know what? I respect that. That was a boundary that he set. Hey, do not call me that. I don't like that, And just examples of how even in our engagement with people day to day, how people have to set boundaries. One of the things that happened in my first year of marriage is me and my wife, when we were getting into, disagreements or conflicts, they would verbally get abusive, and violent, just verbally, and we had met with a good brother of ours in the faith who had been married for about, I'll say 15 to 17 years now, and one of the things that he had said to us, him and his wife, was like, you guys, you're married now, but one of the things we want to suggest to you is that when you guys are, having heated discussions or heated arguments or, conflict, verbally, kind of set boundaries as to what you will say or what you won't say, or he had given us an example. He said, "Hey, me and my wife, during our years of marriage, one of the boundaries that we have set is that when we are both upset, we are both heated, our blood is boiling. We do not talk, far as like, not that we don't talk, but we don't talk about the issue that made us heated or may get us heated, because it's only going to cause, more tension. You're going to end up yelling and screaming. So it's just a boundary to set. Like, hey, when I'm upset, you're upset. Let's kind of wait till we either calm down or have this conversation the next day, when we're both calm, and kind of revisit that issue, and I mean, makes sense, nothing productive comes when it comes to having a conversation with somebody and you're both heated or angry. Nothing positive comes out of that, except the fact that you may be like, "Oh man, I messed up. I'm going to want to do that again or say that again." That's the only thing that comes out of that. And that's even if you even care enough to be like, "You know what? I shouldn't have said that. You know what? I should have did that." So, in our first year of marriage, that's one of the things that we kind of put a boundary on each other. Say, "Hey, you know what? Right now I'm upset. When are you upset?" And I really don't feel comfortable with the way this conversation is going, because you're angry and you're starting to raise your voice. I'm starting to raise my voice. So can we just have this conversation either, in a couple hours or tomorrow when we both calm down? It's like, what, cool, whatever. You mad, you're like, whatever, and it's natural. It's a natural feeling to have when you're angry, you're like, whatever, what I'm saying? You just don't want to discuss the issue, but whatever. But, we normally end up talking about it the next day or some days, sometimes, most times, couple hours once we're both calm down, Another boundary that, I have set, in my life, and this is like simple. Like, a lot of people that I know actually have this boundary, but it's like, I tell people, when you come inside my home, take your shoes off, That's a boundary that I have in my house, and some people ask me, well, why? I'm like, well, if you want to know, because, me and my son, we wrestle and we play on the floor in our house. And sometimes I lay on the floor and watching movies or watching TV, And I said, I don't want someone to come inside my house, studying on my floor while I lay and play with my son. And, you just stepping on God knows what outside, probably poop or dog poop or urine or gum or whatever, I don't want you walking in my house, or we're not walking on my carpet on my forehead with those germs, from outside, and most people respect it, most people respect it, and another boundary is the one that I actually had mentioned earlier is that, when people come to visit us, who are not married, and spend the night, it's, hey, you're welcome to stay, brother, you and your girlfriend, but you guys are not married. So you can't sleep together, in our house, and sometimes people, some family members say, oh yeah, it's cool, I don't mind. And some family members, well, yeah, I don't want to come over. Hey, brother, that's fine. I would want you to come over, but I also want you to respect the boundaries that I have set inside my home as well, and another boundary that me and my wife have set when we got married, when you first get married, people who are married, you already know, or you can, you probably already can relate to what I'm about to say. But those who are not married, again, when you've been single and living on your own, for a long time and paying your own bills, and if you want to buy, want to buy a movie or a pair of shoes or some clothes or a game, you just go and buy it. You just, hey, that's my money. But me and my wife, when we got married, one of the things that we had discussed is that, we wouldn't spend over $100 if it was like nothing outside of if it's like tissue or food or gas or whatever, that's cool. Bills, that's fine. But if it's like something that we wanted personally, like buy some new clothes or buy some new shoes or just go out and buy a game or go to the movies or, but just anything that's, me spending over $100, we wouldn't do that without asking, hey, honey, I wanted to buy this, dress or this pair of shoes or this new, Jordans. Can I go and get, no, especially, and that helped us because when we first got married, we didn't make as much money as we do now. So our budget wasn't as, as much as it is now. It's much tighter. So the last thing, you want to do is, once you guys get acclimated and you're used to paying the water bill with what she brings in, or, you paying the rent with what he brings in, and you go to pay the water bill and the money's gone because she done spent a pair of shoes or bought a dress or something. It's like, hey, where's the money for this A, B, C, and D? Well, I spent it. I bought A, B, C, and D. So, we just, you learn from your lessons. You know what? That's fine. So as we were married within our first year, we say, you know what, honey, I think it's wise that we just both come together and say, you know what, if we want to spend over this kind of money, we should just first consult with each other and see if it's okay, And nine times out of 10, especially now, I'm like, whatever, I don't really care. My wife, I want to buy something. Hey, can I buy these shoes or these boots? What boots? Whatever, I don't care, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But it's just always getting in the habit of us setting that boundary and asking each other, hey, is it okay? And I know some people may feel very indifferent about it. Indifferent about this. Like, hey, man, this is my money. I work my job and she work her job. I'm gonna do what I want to do. Hey, look, brother or sister, hey, look, whatever you guys do inside your home, hey, I'm okay with it. I have no beef with what you do or how you do things, but this is how we do things inside of my home. And it works for us. It really, really works for us. And one of the things that I've learned as I've gotten older is that oftentimes, when you don't have any boundaries or have any kind of order to things, because 9 times out of 10, boundaries are set into place 9 times out of 10, really just to bring order, in areas in our life where we may be like, again, spending too much time or spending too much money or just doing things, or hanging with people I probably shouldn't be hanging with, not saying that they're doing anything wrong, but, for myself, I'm a believer, and I'm a married man. So it wouldn't be wise for me to spend my time with people, with men and or women who may be married but cheating on their husbands or wives. It may not, that's not very wise. So me, I set boundaries for myself. I don't hang around certain people. I don't do certain things. I know, cats that I know they be going to strip club. I don't go to strip club. That's just me. That's the boundary that I set. For myself. And I tell people all the time, man, look, man, I don't have no problem with what you do, man. Whatever you do, if it works for you, it works for you. But this is just things that I've set in my life. One of the things that I will say that boundaries have helped me to achieve, and the results of it is that it actually brings things into order, and it also can bring peace and tranquility. When you're always for myself, when you're always spending a lot of time playing video games or watching a lot of TV, and you're married and you have a child, that's a problem. Your wife is like, yo, You've been at work all day or all week and you come home and play the game for 3-4 hours? Like, yo, are you crazy? You know, I mean, it brings up an argument, you know? So now we just have set times where I may play the video games where when they go to sleep, you know what I'm saying? Or before I go to bed, I may spend an hour playing video games. You know, again, that's fine because my son's asleep, my wife is asleep. So there's no tension there. So it wasn't really a matter of me playing video games, but it's more so the time I play them. You know, if my wife wants to talk to me about how her day was or, you know, some things that's on her heart and I'm playing video games, yeah, probably piss anybody off, you know, or if I'm want to have a conversation with my wife and she on the phone for 2 or 3 hours talking to her friends or, you know, family, I'm like, yo, I'm only home for a certain amount of hours, or yo, I just got home. You know, I can't have your time. I can't talk to you, you know? So, I mean, again, it's not more so about what I do with us. It was more so when I do it, you know? So one of the things I also wanted to touch on is that, because, you know, I have a lot of guys on my job that I work with who are like in their early 20s. And I actually mentioned that on one of my previous podcasts, is that oftentimes I talk to them and I engage them and I'm like, yo, man, you know, I see you making a lot of bread, you know, you young brother making a lot of bread, you know, and I just, you know, want you to know that, you know, you probably should save it, you know, save some money, you know, because I was you. I was that guy in my 20s making money, making good money, but was living check to check. Why? Because I didn't have any discipline and I didn't set any boundaries when it came to saving money or putting money aside. I did not do that. I was not raised doing that, you know. I mean, my mom and my dad, you know, they did the best they could for us growing up, but we lived check to check. So now that I'm older, and now that I was older, I wanted everything that I wanted to get, because when I was younger, growing up, I couldn't get what I wanted. So now that I was in my early 20s, working for the railroad, making good money, if I wanted something, I bought it. You know, I remember at one time, because I was big into car audio, you know, subwoofers, stereos, speakers. I remember at one time, and this is no lie. Why, I do not know, but at one time, I would say every 6 to 9 months, I would buy a new system. Like I would buy a new stereo system, a new amplifier, a new subwoofers. I would switch them out. You know, when me and my wife got married, I think I actually had like, if I'm not mistaken, I had two stereos, car stereos that I had. Like I actually had this like when we got married, and I had like 2 amplifiers, and I had an extra subwoofer box, and I also have one in my car now. My wife was like, "Yo, where you get all this stuff from?" I'm like, "Yo, I used to buy this stuff, sell it, and get it. You know, buy something new. I mean, that's just what I was into, you know." But again, as I was realizing, that stuff costs money. I was probably spending thousands of dollars on audio equipment. Why? That makes no sense. That's thousands of dollars I could have had saved, you know, in my account. You know, just again, when you are young and you don't set any boundaries, you just kind of do whatever. You know. Another one is actually another one. My wife actually had told me later on after we had after I proposed to her. She was like, you know, it's really what made me respect you as a man. But another boundary that I had is that when I was like, because when I met my wife, I was in my mid-20s. It was my mid-20s. I was celibate because I had told myself, you know, in the Lord that, you know, when I get married, you know, I wanted to save myself for marriage at that point. Once I realized, you know, that I shouldn't be doing what I was doing based off, you know, based off the boundaries that the Lord has set for those who believe in Him. You know, Christians, those who believe in Him, you shouldn't be out there smashing, you know, different bras or smashing different dudes. So when I met my wife, I had been celibate for 5 years. You know, so when I met her, I told her, I said, you know, I just have one boundary. I said, I don't go inside of female houses or their homes, and I don't allow them to come inside my home. That's just a boundary that I set for myself, because I know if you know, you're looking good and smelling good, and you know, and chemistry kickoff is going to go down. You know, I'm not going to even try to deceive myself. I'm a heterosexual male. You are a woman who's attracted to men, and if you come inside my home and we watching Netflix and chilling and start kissing and rubbing, it's going down. So I just said, to kind of alleviate all that, I don't allow women to come inside my home. I don't go inside their home. But I was like, you know, if you're having a party or whatever, yeah, I come to your house all day, and vice versa. She came to my house, you know, many times having parties or whatever. You know what I mean? It's nothing like, it's not like you know, you can't come to my house, never. No, I'm not coming to your house when we are alone. And she respected me for that. She's like, you know, that was, you know, I've never met a dude who has said that. I said, you know, I just, And I was hoping it didn't scare her away, and it didn't, but it's just, again, a boundary that I had set for myself because I wanted to protect my purity, and also by doing that, I was protecting the other person's purity, at least while they were in my presence or while they were, in a relationship with me. Anyways, and over the years, because of that, I did lose quite a few young ladies that I was interested in, but it's cool, it all worked out, for the good. I'm not ashamed or embarrassed about it or something about it. It is what it is, if they wanted to be with me, they would have respected, the boundaries that I put into place, and they didn't. So they're not here. I found my best friend, my wife, So I just examples out of my own personal life, that boundaries that I've set and why I have set them. And just that when you are young and, you're making good money, you're working a job, a lot of the times we tend to waste our time, waste our money, and our energy. And out of all three of those, it's only one of those that you can get back. And that's money. I mean, you can get energy back too. What I'm saying is I can't get back the wasted time that I spent with somebody, right? Or even again, the money that I waste, I may get it back eventually, but I can't get it back. I can't get it back at that point. I may get it back a few weeks down the road or a month or so, but the point is, I just recognize that I wasted a lot of time, money, and energy. So that's why I choose to, that's why I choose to navigate the way that I do, and I choose to set boundaries in my own life. And I just pray that this could help encourage somebody out there, because again, when you are young, and I'm not going to say that no one ever told you, but because I don't want to assume that your mom and dad didn't teach you. That would be an insult, to you and to them. But oftentimes you forget or you don't care, So again, the goal of the About This Love soundbite is just to encourage you, to provoke you to a deeper thought, to ask you, for you to ask yourself, do I have boundaries in my life? Is my life out of order? Am I entertaining people that I call friends who are not really friends at all? Am I going to the club, or am I spending a lot of money on clothes and shoes? It's like that's crazy. I hadn't mentioned him on one of my previous podcasts, but I watch a guy on YouTube named Dave Ramsey, and he's a financial advisor, and he's a millionaire. And one of the things that he talks about is how he has he given financial advice to celebrities, professional athletes, artists, in every realm. And he's a believer. He's a believer. And one of the things that he always says for himself is that one of the number one thing that I always tell people as it relates to finances and money is people who millionaires or people who become wealthy off buying, whether it's real estate or properties. He said they do not buy things that come down in value. They do not spend their time or money in things that won't pan out. They set boundaries. So one of his callers on his show, he allowed people to call in and ask him for financial advice, or ask him, was this dumb, or what should I do? But one of the gentlemen that had called him one of the episodes was that a guy who had like 4 or 5 cars. He was like 28, made good money. I mean, he made like 180 a year. But one of the things that Dave Ramsey said to him was that this right here. He said, well, one, you can only drive one car at a time. He said, 2, you have a lot of investments in vehicles, and by the time you got them paid off, they're probably going to depreciate. So that is a very unwise purchase, That's just an example of how the boundaries that I've set in my life, and me and my wife have set in our life, is that we don't spend too much money on things that might not be worth it in a couple of years. No, don't get me wrong. I know that if because I have an hour commute to work, so don't get me wrong. I'm going to buy a decent car. I'm going to buy a car that may last me 5 to 7, hopefully longer than that. So I mean, of course, to do that, you're going to have to pay money. That's different. but I'm not going to spend, my money and my time, for as my time and the people that I know are just doing things that I don't necessarily agree with or subscribe to, or it's not bettering me in my life, So thank you for tuning in. Let me leave you with this question. What boundaries have you set in your life in different scenarios in different areas of life? And what have been your results from setting those boundaries? And again, we would love to hear from you. You can leave us a comment on this on Facebook. You can also, again, follow us on social media, About This Love on Facebook. IG is About This Love, all lowercase, all one word. And on our business, it's Facebook is Multidimensional Media Domain LLC, and on IG it's Multidimensional. I'm sorry. On IG it's MD _ LLC, and that's all lowercase. And on Twitter it's MD LLC, all capitalized. Thank you again for tuning in. And don't worry if you didn't catch the social medias. I'll always leave a link in the description. Always. There will always be a link in the description. You can just go to the link and follow. Peace. About this love. About